We're at the headquarters of Mackie Moving Systems, which has over 80 years of experience hauling automotive products and vehicles. We talked to Ross Mackie, chairman of the company, about changes in the automotive industry and what impact they've had on carriers. What changes have you seen over the years? I know you mentioned not too long ago that your dad's philosophy was do one thing and do it well. And your philosophy has sort of become, you'd like to get involved in more than one commodity sort of thing.
After we got involved with North America, my dad helped start North American van lines in Canada in the early 50s. From there, when he eventually stepped down or stepped back, my sister and I continued on. Then my sons come into the business, and we started to look at other opportunities from, hauling store fixtures, anything that we could actually get in a dry van or a moving van.
All of the requirements around just-in-time automotive handling in Canada, how did that revolutionize the industry?
Well, there's drastic changes in the industry from just in equipment and everything. The warehousing, we never realized at the time that we'd be located in other cities and across North America and England and Germany, and these were all automotive related facilities.
Your company has been involved in doing a lot more than just delivering parts and finished automotive. Can you talk about some of the value added that you've been involved in?
Like for GM, GM PACCAR, we do outsource, the components would come into Mackie warehouses, and we would sequence them as they required them. We'd dress the engines.
Is it a more demanding sector, automotive, versus some of the other products you handle?
I'd say it's quite demanding. We have to meet the schedules and supply a quality service.
What kind of driver does really, really well in this environment? I notice as we toured the company, you have a lot of drivers with long service awards, and it seems to be a great atmosphere and environment. What kind of skills do you look for in a driver for the automotive sector?
Well, the men and women, some of the women wanted to get their A license, and along with our safety department, I encourage these women to, we help them, train them, get into driving eventually tractor trailers, and just, people that were reliable and you could count on it to do a quality job.
It's a very physical job at times. Is that true? Or?
Some of it is the requirements, some of our loads to make sure the product, if it's automobiles, the vehicles are high end, and they've got to be properly secured, and some of that's time consuming.
So what is the key, do you find, for surviving and thriving in the automotive sector as a carrier? I know you mentioned that you got fierce competition out there across the motor carrier industry. So what are some of the things that you think would put you forward?
Well, you just got to be focused on having the right people in your equipment, and keep updating your tractors and your trailers and anything, whether it's the warehouse, the lift trucks, anything you use in that industry, you've got to have the right equipment and the right people operating it.
Driver Greg Heisman has 40 years experience hauling for the automotive sector and has seen many changes take place. Greg, you've been hauling automotive products for over 40 years now. What are the skills you find come in most handy on the job?
The skills that you need today, you have to be proficient in the paperwork, customs, border crossing, bills of lading. We've gone from logs to electronic logs, so you need to be proficient in that as well.
What about the loading and unloading requirements of the different OEMs, for example?
The requirements there, a lot of the different suppliers have their own safety rules, and we have to adhere to them, plus we have our own safety rules in place that we have to adhere to, and a lot of it's physically demanding, obviously.
Can you tell me a little bit about the finished goods that you handle and the shows that you're involved in? You mentioned you have some 70% of your time spent on the OEM shows.
Yes, we do a lot of the auto shows throughout the winter season when the manufacturers are displaying to the public their new products, and we also do a lot of the sales training where the suppliers will send vehicles out and the dealers and the salespeople will come and they will do the on-site training.
Is it, over the 40 years, can you say a harder job to be in now than it was previously? And if so, for what reasons?
It probably is a harder job now. It's a harder job to staff because the biggest thing we find is that people don't want to be away from home for weeks on end, whereas years ago that seemed to be a bit of the glory to the job.
Right.
And now people want to be home every night. They don't want to be on the road. They don't want to be away from their family, and so it's a hard job finding people to fill all those vacancies.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Julie.